everyone, and good morning. We're excited to get into another session of Greenfield-Belser Coffee Break. I'm Tiffany, and I'll be your moderator this morning. As we did for the past coffee break, this session is a live discussion. We do ask, however, that you mute your end of the phone when you are not speaking in the discussion setting. Things could get a bit unwieldy without this courtesy. At points in the presentation, we will welcome any direct discussion or questions for Erica. We're thrilled that you've decided to join us again for this session. The topic today is how to stand out at the show. So sit back, enjoy your coffee, and here's Erica Ritzer to start your day.
Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining us. I noticed there are lots of people on the call that I know, but lots of names that I am unfamiliar with. So by way of introduction, my name is Erica Ritzer. I'm a partner here in the DC office of Greenfield-Belser. I've been with Greenfield-Belser for 25 years, and in those 25 years, I have exclusively worked with professional services to market all types of professional services. And in those 25 years, I certainly have attended lots of trade shows. I've helped my clients market themselves at events and conferences and trade shows. So I, have a pretty good depth of knowledge in this arena. I am recently back where I saw lots of you at the National Legal Marketing Conference in San Diego. And that in and of itself was my 20th national conference at LMA. Greenfield-Belser has been at that conference since its beginning. It's certainly our biggest marketing spend as far as trade shows and conferences. So a lot of what I am going to be talking to you about today, we employ ourselves at that show as well as others. As Tiffany mentioned, jump in, ask any questions along the way. I will pause at certain parts in the presentation to ask you if you have questions, but it's meant to be a discussion, and we're all meant to learn from each other, so feel free to jump in and add anything that you'd like to. So, stand out at the show. Often conference floors look like this, and the real question is, how can you stand out in a crowded sea? People often think they need to have the biggest, the most cutting-edge booth to really stand out at the show. But when you really boil it down, are you trying to stand out at the show, or are you trying to generate leads? And really the answer is you're trying to get leads. Okay, that's why you are attending these events. And really to get leads, that happens well before your professionals hit the trade show floor, okay? We've been talking a lot at Greenfield-Belser these days, and frankly the industry has. It was a big topic lately at the Legal Marketing Conference about what we've coined the phrase digital sales force. So if you saw us at LMA, you got an introduction to it, and I believe Berkey mentioned it in the last coffee break. And yes, I get a trade show is not digital, but it is one component in your sales force, and I think it's important to refresh everybody on how this process works. And certainly what you do to promote a trade show could be digital, so I think it bears a quick explanation. Remember, I ultimately said your goal at an event or trade show or conference is to get leads, okay? So you won't be surprised to hear from us that before you have a prayer of getting a lead, you have to have a clear and compelling brand position. Okay, that's where it starts. Okay, it really needs to have a well-defined position so people know what you stand for. Okay, and a compelling brand position commands some attention. Okay, so that's where the sales force starts. All right, without a compelling position and an engaging personality, and frankly something to say, you really have nothing. And that would hold true on the trade show floor as well at a conference or an event. You really can market till the cows come home, but if you have nothing compelling to say, it's a waste of time and no one's going to care, all right? We like to always say that the old analogy kind of from the cocktail party still applies. If you're not interesting and interested in me, I'm really not interested in you. And that's very true when you're meeting people for the first time at a conference, okay? Professionals who can't make up their own compelling story, we, believe it's our collective job to help give them one, and your personality is what needs to come out, okay? So in the center section, here's where it gets interesting, okay? So for 50 years, okay, marketers have lived by the mantra of reach and repetition, okay? We've become very effective at broadcasting compelling messages through our traditional channels. We've all been involved in all of these kinds of activities that are highlighted here. We've become very good at it. But now you get the internet and everything at kind of the bottom here, social, SEO, SEM, and everything that's surrounding that. And the content has been, the whole market's become saturated, okay? So in the digital age, getting your message out is not the problem, okay? But the noise is, all the chatter and the clutter surrounding it, all right? And our clients have become very effective in tuning out marketing and sales messages that are not relevant to the moment, okay? Because they get inundated with this stuff, and the content has really become chatter. And really, events are no different. There's so much chatter surrounding an event. How do you stand out and differentiate yourself? So let's pause for a second on the sales force. There's obviously more that happens to the right of this. The sales force is incomplete. But let's get into really, at an event, what's going to happen and how you can be creative before, during, and after the events. And that's really what's important here. I have so many clients that I have worked with over the years that come to us and like, oh, we're really excited. We're sending, these 6 IP attorneys to the bio conference, and we've got this booth, and we've told them what to do at the conference, and just want to get your thoughts on that. And really, my first question is, whoa, slow down. In the very beginning, when you've budgeted for this conference, really you're planning, and it needs to start there. So the second you agree to sponsor or attend or be part of some kind of event, you have to start your planning, because your most effective marketing really should happen before the event, okay? To get people interested, let them know that you're there, and get them to come see you. All right, so I'm going to show you examples of simple creative ideas that can be done to promote an event in its entirety. Some are expensive, some are very inexpensive, some are easy, some require more work. You're going to find nothing in what I'm going to present to you is rocket science, but it bears repeating because most of my clients don't do it when they get their professionals ready for conferences. I'm going to try to give you some concrete takeaways. You'll see some examples, a lot of examples from 2 firms throughout, there'll be others, but a lot from 2 firms throughout this presentation that are really doing a great job of promoting events from start to finish. And really my hope is that you take some of these ideas and incorporate them into your events and teach your people how to use these and use them effectively. So as we talked about, your leads are your targets. Okay? If you're going to start an event and go down that road and either sponsor or attend, you need to identify those leads. If you are a sponsor, you should get the attendee list as part of your sponsorship packet. Most offer it. If they don't, you need to demand it. If you're going to pony up money to sponsor at a conference or an event, all right, you should be able to get the attendee list. You want to take that and you want to go through it and go through it carefully with your professionals that are going to be at the conference and identify top prospects. When we attend a conference, sit down as a group, we all look at the attendee list and we each identify at least 10 people that we'd like to touch in some way. And I don't mean that you need to set up and have a face-to-face meeting with them. You can touch different levels of prospects in different ways, okay? One effective way, once you've identified your target, is send them a personal invite of some sort to help cut through the clutter. Now, you don't want to be ordinary. You need to get noticed, okay? So what you need to do with the people that are going to be attending is enlist them to make these personal contact and promote themselves to potential show attendees. They can set up breakfast, lunch, dinner appointments, have them maximize their time at the event, or they can simply send them something ahead of time, letting them know they're going to be there and asking them to come by. For really high value targets, we have clients that we help do what we call a clutter buster. So this is for a Gutman Development Strategies is an executive coaching firm out of Jersey. And for really high value prospects, when they're going to be in an event, they send a clutter buster after they've identified their high value targets with a small brochure about themselves. And this happens to have a kind of toolkit. And they customize a small letter that goes over top of this that says, hey, I think we'd be a great fit. We should meet. We're going to be at this booth at this time. We'd love to talk to you. It's called a clutter buster for exactly that reason. It cuts through the clutter in your inbox or your mailbox. It's pretty impressive to receive this in the mail, okay? Now, obviously, I mean, this is $25 a box. You're not going to send this to mass market. You're not going to send this at every conference. But if the target values it, okay, there's more likely a chance they're going to seek you out, if for nothing else, to say thank you. And if they come to your booth and say thank you, you have a way to introduce yourself. Now, obviously, this is expensive, okay? It works for select high-targeted prospects. But think about a cheaper alternative. If you had each of your professionals identify 10 people they wanted to meet at this conference, they could simply send a letter and some kind of thought leadership piece. Something, the generic firm brochure probably isn't it, but a white paper that's on a topic that's relevant to the conference. For instance, if the professional is speaking at the conference, it could be a white paper or a thought leadership piece that surrounds that topic, inviting somebody to join them at their presentation. So the real takeaway I'm trying to tell you is hit the targets, identify your targets, and hit them up before the conference and send them something that's relevant and on point. Okay? Now, a concrete example. So I mentioned Greenfield-Belser was just at LMA. We took a different approach to this. We, always like to try different things, and that's why we're here today, because we like to tell you what we find is effective over the years. We are not big, on the left is an e-blast. We are not big proponents of the generic mass market e-blast. I will tell you, as an attendee at LMA recently, I must have received 25 e-blasts from various vendors prior to the conference, and I couldn't tell you one from the other. They fill your inbox in the 2 weeks before. So we thought we would take a different tactic. We did send personalized letters to hot prospects beforehand with introductions, but for the more mass market, we sent the e-blast on the left, but we tried a different tact with this idea of max headroom. We filmed a short video of Berkey introducing the digital sales force as max headroom. And if you're young and not familiar with max headroom, he was the first kind of artificial intelligence character who debuted on MTV in the late 80s. But if you were of a certain generation, you certainly understood what it was. Our idea here was what we would call a social media blitz. We had this small clips of Max Headroom take over our social media for 1 week prior to LMA. We sent it out as an e-blast. On the left, you can see we wrote 5, 6, 7, 8 blog posts about it. We inundated all the partners as well as Greenfield-Belser's social media with it. So anything you got from Greenfield-Belser in the 7 days leading up to that conference had something to do with Max Headroom and the digital sales force. If you hit our website in that week, the whole homepage was taken over by Max Headroom. And we did it for one reason, and one reason only. So people would walk up to us at the booth at LMA and say, what the heck is up with Max Headroom? I wasn't trying to introduce a concept. I wasn't trying to teach you anything. I simply wanted you to walk up to me, and I was there, and ask me, what the heck is going on with Max Headroom? And if you didn't know who Max Headroom was, I wanted you to say, what the heck was that? Okay? I had almost a dozen people walk up to me and ask that question. So what are they? They're leads. I generated buzz and I drove people to my booth and I started the conversation. Now, if you sat through the whole kind of 12-second video of Berkey, it ends with ask me what digital sales force is. But what it did was it drove people to me so that I could in turn give my spiel on what we were talking about at LMA. That's effective marketing. Simple, cheap, really didn't cost us a nickel. Now, yes, we produced the video in-house, but not a big investment to blast this out through social media, and we proved to ourselves that it was effective. A simpler, easier, less expensive pre-show kind of thing, much more simpler approach. You could go old school. Send a postcard. Don't forget about the U.S. mail. Zelnick Erickson since has changed their name to Erickson Immigration Law, but they cut through the clutter by using the good old mail and actually mailing a postcard like the old days. What's great about it is I must have gotten 25 pre-show mailings via my inbox. I I didn't get a single pre-show mailing for LMA in my mailbox, my snail mailbox. So it instantly cuts through the clutter. If this landed in my inbox, I'd at least glance at it, get a sense, oh wow, Zelnick, they're there, they're Erickson, they're going to be at, well, this was an immigration conference. So don't forget about the simple traditional methods as well, okay? Choate, Hall & Stewart has done a great job. They're an intellectual property firm. Here's another way where they enticed people by announcing through the mails before they go to bio a scientific game that they're holding at the booth. And on the back, which I don't have a picture of, they announce that if you can, they're having a contest, we're betting all our marbles you can solve it. If you show up at their booth and you answer the question or solve the contest, you won an iPad, okay? That's compelling to get people to stop by the booth, okay? And it's better. It's certainly a better way to drive people to the booth with kind of what you would call a gimmick than the kind of passport to prizes things. If you're familiar with conferences, a lot of people ask exhibitors to give a prize, and then people stop by and get their ticket stamped. And then at the end, there's a drawing from the conference. That's really ineffective because people don't want to talk to you. They just want to get their ticket stamped so they can enter in the drawing. I'd argue that something like this, where you're actually driving qualified leads to your booth that are interested in some way, shape, or form, and it's more one-on-one, you have the chance to engage them in a conversation. There are other ways to drive people to your booth, all right? If you're sponsoring, like I said before, demand high value for your dollar. Don't just attach your name to a luncheon or sponsor a coffee break, because no one remembers who does that at conferences, and it's usually a waste of money. If you're going to spend sponsorship money, make it count. So if you're going to invest thousands of dollars, maximize that return, okay? You don't have to pick from available sponsorships. You can create your own. Some clever ideas. Okay, if it's at a hotel conference and people are staying at the conference hotel, you could try a door hanger like we did years ago when we announced our first SEO partner, Guthrie. Make it fun, put it on their doors, pay the conference to send people to the registered conference attendees and hang these on their doors. We've done static stickers for clients that the hotel actually goes in and puts it on the mirror. And it talks about opportunities looking you in the face, stop by booth XYZ and come see us. We did that for an accounting firm. You can leave, we're a big proponent of leaving things on people's beds in hotel rooms, and you pay to have the hotel staff do that. You can leave your brochures and things like that. Again, gets through the clutter, gets noticed much better than just sticking your brochure in the attendee bag. I thought this was a fantastic, creative, new, fresh idea at the LMA conference. Glencoe Media sponsored an artist at the major sessions to illustrate the session, the speaking session as it went on. It was fun to watch. People loved it. They promoted it on social media, so they really got leverage for this during the conference and after it. And what was great about it, never seen it done before. People really took notice of it, okay? So then we get to the conference. Before I talk about being at the event, anybody have any questions about or ideas about leading up, what you can do leading up to an event?
I have a question.
Okay.
This is Shannon Brown from Navigant.
Hi.
So just on that last one, they were doing that illustration as Berkey was actually speaking?
Absolutely. Yep. Berkey spoke with Kim Perrette and Jim Dorm, 3 kind of Hall of Famers from LMA, and they were doing this simultaneously I think they had 4 going on at one time not all, but most of the major sessions. And as Berkey was talking about, you can see in some of here, like the mug in the center is a brand that we did. As he was talking about, she had no prior knowledge of his presentation, anything. They illustrated it and then they displayed them in the conference kind of registration area for people to go back and look at. It was fascinating, and she was brilliant at it. And they had 4 people doing them simultaneously in different sessions.
Yeah, no, clearly that's a talent.
Yep.
But my question is, did anybody find that distracting? Because, sometimes they'll do, one of the things that I've seen, if people are talking and they've got like a Twitter feed on screen, and people are just, and a lot of times the things that are coming across are not all that substantive. So it can be distracting. So my question is just that I can see afterwards, well, this would be really reinforcing, right? Because then you're seeing it throughout the conference and you're remembering what he said. But I just wonder, do you think anybody may have been distracted during the actual speaking time?
Yeah, I will tell you, I went to 2 sessions, saw it done twice. They were, unlike the Twitter feed, which I agree with you, I've seen, because the Twitter feed tends to be up front where the speakers are speaking. This was kind of off to the right, and you, frankly, if you were looking at the speakers, you had to do almost a 90-degree turn to focus on it.
Okay, gotcha.
So you had to...
right up front with them.
It was off to the side, in the room, though, but you had to consciously make a decision to turn and look at this person. So.
And you didn't see that?
No, I mean, I was fascinated by it, and I had heard Berkey's speech, so I turned and looked at it, but I did not see people be distracted. And the buzz on Twitter and social media about this was all ridiculously positive.
Okay. Good to know.
Good.
Thank you.
All right, so let's move on to, if there's no more questions right now, by all means, you can jump in and interrupt me at any time.
Erica.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I'm from previously Zonic and Eric, but now Eric's Immigration Group.
Hi.
And I just had a quick question about getting the attendee list. So we have an event in June, and the host still hasn't gotten back to us about whether or not we can have the attendee list. So when would you say is an appropriate time to ask them, I need it by 2 weeks before the event?
That's what it is, Stephanie. Your 2 weeks is about it. That's when they usually kind of close down registration. They start preparing, and we, for our big conferences, we always put on our calendar 2 weeks prior, but you should have your promotion ready. So you need to have some sense. You can't start your promotion 2 weeks, but if you're going to do your postcard like you do, you have them on hand. And you have some. The conference will be able to tell you about how many people. You have it ready. You get that list. You drop them, because ideally you want it to hit about 7 to 10 days prior to the conference. You don't want people to forget about it. You want it to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to this next week. Let me throw this in my bag. Let me talk to Stephanie. Let me go see her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. And then another thing that the host of the conference said was that the HR community is sort of soft sell. So some of the things that you were talking about, like door hangers or stuff in the hotel room, were, for lack of a better word, she said was too aggressive. So I didn't know if you had any other things that you would suggest for pre-conference other than a postcard or an email blast.
Yeah, that's going to be softer, certainly. I don't know. Yes, she may feel that way because they're uncomfortable doing it, but the mere fact that she's uncomfortable is going to get you noticed. I can't believe anybody would be offended by a door hanger on their door or a brochure on their bed. They're probably just uncomfortable because they haven't done it before. I'd counsel you to press hard if you're paying big dollars for it and take that leap, as I know you guys do, and be that firm that does something different. And I can pretty much guarantee people will come down in the morning and be like, wow, that was so cool. I had people ask me, how did you get into my hotel room? And I'm like, really? But you know what? They came down to my booth and they're like, oh, cool, your stuff was on my bed last night. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Sure. So obviously you're going to an event or conference or sponsoring something to get noticed at the event, okay? So we need to talk about your messaging on the trade show floor. But before I start there, okay, I think it's important to just have a quick note about picking booth space. So let's assume this was a traditional trade show floor. Just in case no one's familiar with it, your idea, if you get to choose a booth, is to choose something close to this quadrant that I've pointed out, and here's why. Most people naturally turn to the right, okay? So you're going to naturally have more traffic. It's why in supermarkets the perishables are almost always to the right part of a store, because people are going to come into the store and turn to the right, okay? Of course, you do need to investigate if there's going to be food breaks in the conference hall or bars. Those are always great places to drive traffic. But my point is, choosing the booth is an important part of this, your booth location, and if you have the choice, you want to choose wisely. So once you're at the booth, obviously we all know booths run the whole range, big to small and in between. It does not have to be an expensive booth. This is a typical pop-up 10-foot booth, runs about $3,500, which was a drop in the bucket for your overall spend. The point is, leverage your creative and make it compelling. You need to stand out. You need to tailor your message to the conference. The generic booths are gone. You're going to a bio conference or here a life sciences conference. You want your panels to be on point and on target. Buy the booth structure once, replace the panels every year. Okay, you don't want to be generic, you want to be specific. And that's what all three of these have in common. Also, you'll notice there's no tables in front of these booths. Okay, that's too easy for your professionals to hide behind. No chairs, no tables. You want to engage people and invite them into your booth. Unless, of course, you're going to have some type of lounge where you're going to have meetings. But the typical 8-foot table you get with two, bad chairs behind it, have them taken away immediately. Okay, your booth space wants to be a reflection of you. Now, in the booth, everybody's always interested in promotions that generate buzz, giveaways, things like that. Carrying the Zelnick example all the way through, gone are the days of giving away a pen. It's an absolute waste of money. It's not memorable. Big ticket items definitely draw attention. And just to give you a little idea of what Zelnick did, if you recall, their tagline was uncomplicate the complicated. So we helped them create this globe out of Ethernet cord, and we spray painted it to match the globe. And they ran a contest, which is explained on this easel in their booth, that if you could guess how much Ethernet cord was used, you'd win an iPad or some other kind of electronics. It was so successful in generating buzz at their booth. This was in 2012. We've done it the following 2 years, and the next year we made the globe out of Christmas lights, and last year we made the globe out of Kinects, which is a Lego type product. I will also ask if anybody has any ideas for us for this year. We welcome them. And it was extremely successful. It generated buzz. It was new. It was fresh. This was an immigration conference. You can imagine the other exhibitors were movers and packers and things like that. And for a law firm, this is a booth that's on brand, on target, and generated a lot of buzz. Okay. You also can give away small things to the masses. This is no different. It's actually cheaper than the pen. What you're looking at here is a cord holder. So if you use a laptop and at the end of the day you unplug your laptop, the cord always falls to the floor. This is a little clip you put on your desk that's branded with their logo, where you can clip your cord into it so you don't have to bend down every day and pick up your cord. What it does, it uncomplicates the complicated. Okay, so it's on the giveaway ties into their branding message. And of course, you always want to have literature and things that are on point at your brochure also. I will tell you, latest statistic from the Wall Street Journal says that 75% of trade show literature is discarded. Therefore, be smart about it. Give something simple and inexpensive in case it is tossed. A better way to do it is get people's information and follow up post-show with the information. At the booth, you also have the opportunity to highlight if you have speakers at the conference, drive traffic to their events, okay? You can do a small pop-up banner. This is 8 feet tall, but it's a way to promote speakers at a conference to draw more people to those speeches, okay, which is a great gig at a conference, all right? And especially if it's during a competitive breakout session, you want to make sure you're really driving traffic there. You're going to have events around your meetings and conferences, like dinners and things like that. You can keep it simple, but brand it. This obviously is branded for Choate. It matches all the other materials I just showed you. You want to keep the look and feel going, okay? And then, of course, you need to enlist standout people, and this is often your toughest challenge. One of my clients sent this to me years ago, and I think it's a riot, okay? It's very simple and easy, but I love this graphic, okay? It never hurts to remind people of this, so I often encourage people to send this to their people that are attending the show prior to them going, just to get a laugh. But the third part, get 4 qualified leads every hour. Certainly lawyers like to know what their responsibilities are. If you told them, work on getting 4 qualified leads every hour, they will go in with a goal, all right? I've had firms kind of run contests, which is a true classic sales promotion, to see how many lawyers can come back with the most business cards, all right? So that incentivizes them. We'll get to after the event, but does anybody have any questions? All right. So you've figured out your targets. We hope now that your lawyers have seen, or your professionals have seen them at the event. You can't just go to the event and walk away. Again, you're wasting opportunities, okay? It comes back to now converting those leads and following up and acting on what you promised. Did you promise to send somebody something? Did you talk to them about, a similar matter that you've worked on and told them you would give them more information? You must follow up. And that's where we'll pick back up on the digital sales force, because the leads will only convert with compelling custom pitches that speak to clients' needs. So you just had them in the booth, and presumably you gave them your compelling custom pitch, okay? So you started this at the conference, but now you need to follow up and actually try to convert that lead, okay? So you've collected all these business cards, all right? Presumably your lawyers know who they spoke to, or your professionals. You want to be as creative as before. You want to send targeted thank yous and mailings. They are super effective. Do not neglect what your mother told you. Have your attorneys write personal, handwritten thank you notes to not people they generically met in the booth, but if they sat down and had a conversation, they had dinner with them, they took them to breakfast, personal notes go a long way, okay? You can do something creative, the clutter busters, the mailing lists, the follow-up, all of that. An easy first step is make sure they give you the cards, make sure they connect them in LinkedIn, make sure you add them to your CRM, okay? We also are big proponents of keeping segmented lists in your CRM so that all of these cards, let's say, would go under a list that said, we met them at XYZ conference. So that if you next year attend that conference and you see these people are on that list again, it'd be really kind of cool if they got, the first message they got from you was, it was so lovely meeting you last year at INTA or BIO or whatever conference. We hope we get a chance to see you again. So here's where we are at the end of the whole cycle, okay? The whole cycle, which events are just one part of, ultimately leads to what we call the brand experience on the right, okay? You got to get all these wheels going in motion. The gears need to keep churning, but your events are one part, and frankly, an easy way to show your professionals that they can see ROI, because if they meet somebody and you're tracking it, and eventually that person becomes a client, it's very easy to say that event was successful. Questions? All right. Well, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. We're a few minutes over. Certainly, if you have any questions, Tiffany will let you know how to reach us. Right, Tiffany?
Yeah, you can. If you have any other questions, you can always email me at tchang, CHANG, @gblt.com. And you can also email me if you want a deck of slides or a recording of today's presentation. Thank you, everyone, for attending this coffee break. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we have, and be sure to tune into our next session in June. Great.
Thank you.